Yeah, it's visible now. Okay.
Okay, great. So yesterday we did this kind of stuffs. We have a form, like a hyperlinks. We tried to understand how to work with or deal with hyperlinks, and it is done by anchor tags. Just at anchor tags, it could be a URL, the any URL, or it could be the page which is present in your web page. So this is how we trigger, and that's the end result. And when you click, either it will open home page, Google home page, or whatever page you have described in the path. Then we also saw how to create a simple form, a really simple form with one text field, and then how to pass that data. That was the thing, how to pass that form data to the servlet. So for that, we have used that argument which is present in do-get method, HTTP server request. So that request is just a reference, and on that reference, we can call one method, get parameter. So that exactly just fetches the record uh, sent by the form. So when we click on send button, it binds that form data. Right now, in our case, we just have a one input type, text type. So when we click send, it binds that input type and send it to this request or this URL, that is name, and name is nothing but a servlet URL pattern. So loads this servlet, and the request already has that name. We just need to mention it. So we gave name username. So we give the same username here, stored in a variable, and then printed out. But thing was, we were printing on console, so it gets printed here. Hello Ram. Okay, great. Then I just give you an idea like how we can proceed further and do database connection coding. So that we did here, and this was a servlet where we write our code. We also enhance our coding while testing or writing towards database how to insert our record. That was the idea. So I just created a simple HTML page which has three fields. Here, three fields: username, age, and email. When we click register, this data is supposed to store in database, and we were generating ID automatically. The auto incremental was there. Uh, what was the table again? Insert query user. Okay, so this was the table user, and we just inserted two records yesterday. And 1 2 was messed up because we were testing something. We were enhancing or writing a better code. So this was used earlier when we were learning JDBC API in core Java, but we just came to know that this is not a best practice because it allows hackers to get this thing done. That is SQL injection. This is one of the famous hacking mechanism used by hackers, so they can inject it. But now we have a best mechanism, that is these placeholders. So at runtime, we are just passing these query parameters, or just we call them placeholders, and these parameters will be replaced at runtime by these. So we have one, two, three question marks, and that's the first location, second, and third. So accordingly, we give 1 2 3, and for first place goes username, second age, and third email. So this is a typical SQL query which inserts record, and definitely we don't want to get or store ID. So for that, what we did, we already know ID is auto generated, so we are not supposed to pass that. So this is the syntax we used: name, age, email. So only we want these columns should be stored. Okay, and when we click data, so it returns insert query successful or something went wrong. But again, everything was working on console. As of now, we don't know how things are working on or print things on web page. Okay, so we'll continue the same page where first of all we'll figure out how to print things on web page. So here we have name sublet, I guess. Yeah, this is here. So I was printing on system dot out println, and for this we have a HTML page. Let's open that as well. Name HTML. Okay, so when we click on send, it takes that name, goes to servlet, and prints that. So let's verify first of all. Run as server. Server selected. Next, finish. Okay. So things are working. When we click on name page, we can give any name. Let's say Ram. Send record, and here things get printed on console. Okay. Now, what if I want to print on web page, right? So for that, we have to use again this request, and we will write request dot get. It's not request, it's response dot set dot content get output stream, and this will give us an object of print writer. I'll call this reference out, and then okay, there's a typo, writer, and then oh sorry, not stream, get writer, my bad, get writer. And then when we use out, I can simply say out dot print. Now we will see the magic here. I'll paste the same message what we used here, hello, this copy name goes here and paste it. That's it. And if everything was fine, we should see this message on web page. And I can see server was reloaded. It was started on this, you can see it was 5726, now it is 36. So after 10 seconds, if you save your web page and give some time, server will check okay, something has been changed on your Java file, and it will reload the server. So if I go back and check this and reload page ram send, and boom, here we are. Now we can see data is coming on web page now. Of course, obviously it's there also here because we are printing this out, but now we are getting this data on web page as well. Okay, let's suppose I want to print make this font a little bit big, so at least we can play with that. And initially when we were doing servlet, I told you that in servlet pages we tend to write or create HTML pages as well, or we can use HTML tag within Java file. This was one of the plus point of servlets, that you can write Java code and HTML code within the same file. So if you want to make font bigger, let's use h1 tag, okay, the heading tag, and here I'll close it plus double quotes. So this is how we write HTML within string. So if everything was fine, the tag should be bigger. Okay, and you can see this was reloaded, so that's great. After saving, if you give some time again, server will detect the change and it will reload it by default. Now going back here, close this, name page again, taking the name, request sent, and yeah, I can see the font is now bigger. So that's how we use HTML tags within Java files in double quotes. Okay, this is the code we wrote, and the output is here. Okay, fine. So it's working fine, and it's all because of these two lines. First of all, you have to get that writer from the response. Oh, there's a typo here. I didn't realize there's a A written. It's response, not response. Okay, fine. So it's working great, nice. So now we know how to print web page. Okay, now going back to that link, which was creating CRUD applications. So I created this yesterday, this page register user, right? And if I enter something, and this is the servlet for it, so it simply prints on console. Okay, now I want something, some message on the same page. That okay, let me create a scenario here. So I'm just enhancing the same example, and I'll encourage that whatever scenario I gave yesterday, try to get all the pending pages like update, select, and delete. Okay, so okay, so we are learning one concept here, which is redirection, or yeah, basically we call this redirection, but this is possible how to redirect from one page to another page. Okay. Okay, so paint classic, save image to done. Okay, so there's a thing or interface we call this request dispatcher. Okay, so let's have a look on this request dispatcher. Again, we will see its official document. What does this request dispatcher do? So it's an interface. That's fine. We already know this. Yeah, okay. I didn't tell you guys. Yeah, so it's an interface, and it provides two different methods. One is include, one is different one. So let's see this. So define object that receive returns and okay. So defines an object that receives request from the client and sends them to any resource. Now that resource could be servlet, HTML file, or the JSP file on the server. So if you want to send your data from one page to another page, you can use this request dispatcher. What does it do? It dispatches your request to one resource. Now this servlet container creates this dispatcher request dispatcher object, which is used as a wrapper around. Okay, that's fine. Leave it. I'll take the second point only. Okay, so now we have this part. Servlet container means the server. Okay, servlet container or server, the same thing. Server. Okay, so who creates this request dispatcher object? Server does that. So we don't have to create it because it's interface. You cannot create its instance for sure. But we can definitely use its reference, not to get object, but we can use its reference to get the data. And who creates the actual object? Server will create that. Server or servlet container. Fine. So now it provides two methods, include and forward. There it is. So include, so wrong click. Include looks like this. Copied. So that's the first method, and it kind of looks similar what we saw with the do get method. It takes two arguments of similar types, servlet request and servlet response. Next method is forward. There it is. Okay, and throws exception, and here comes the IO exception. Okay, so now we have methods which are part of request dispatcher interface. Why we need this method? Let's see. So as the name says, include. So definitely it will include something. So what does it include? It includes a response and of any resource, and that response could be that resource could be anything. Again, a servlet could be, it could be a JSP or it could be a HTML page. So basically, if you want to include some response, you can use this method. Next method says forward. So if you want to forward a request from one resource to another resource, so you can use this method. Again, it says the same statement. It simply forwards your request to the next resource. And what's the next resource? Servlet, JSP, or HTML page. Whatever required, you can just name it. It will work. So for now, I'll just show you how it works. Then we will integrate this part or this piece of code in our register servlet. So for now, we will see how it works. So we will keep this thing intact and close others. Okay, we will get back to this example later, and we will enhance this one because it right now it is printing on console. So we have to enhance that. Okay, so let's use this request dispatcher. Okay, so we have to create the servlet here. Servlet. Let's say RD servlet. Okay, I'm calling RD request dispatcher. And next. I don't need constructor, I don't need post method, just the get there. And definitely I need to clean up all these extra stuffs so my code looks clean. Okay. Okay, and now we already know how to print on web pages, so I can use response dot get writer. This gives me print writer pw, not pw, let's use out. Again, you can call it anything. I tend to call this out. And out dot print output hello from Servlet. Okay, and let's register this quickly in web excel file. Let's just Servlet, paste it. It's not got a folder, so remove that. Servlet here, and I'll just call this RD. Okay, so we have everything set up for the servlet. We can close this file, not required anymore. And you know what, we can even trigger servlet through links as well. That means if I have this index page where I'm keeping all the links, I can copy this, paste here, and let's try with this. Okay, let's hit and try. So let's use just RD. So what I'm doing, as we have understand that it should be web application, the web project name, and then your resource name. So it's RD here, blank, and here I'll just say RD servlet. This is the idea. So let's stop the server first because we have created something new which is not present in server yet. And every time you do any change in web XML file, always stop your server because server doesn't detect the changes in XML file. So every restart it picks the changes. So we just added a new configuration for new servlet, so it should be there. So restarting it again, run on server. Oh, forgot server. Next, finish. Okay, server is up. Let's close other boxes. BR tag is missed, so let's do that first of all. Edit, refresh. Okay, it's down. Let's click on this, and yeah, it's working. So it means now we can call servlets even from hyperlinks. Yep. So for web pages, give the full URL. For internal resource, give the project name and the resource name. And for servlets, project name slash and then that URL button of the servlet. Okay, so now we are able to call servlet from the links as well. Great. Now next is we'll go back to inside the servlet and I'll create two dummy pages. One is fine, I guess. I'll create one HTML file. I'll say let's say page 1, and here I'll add one random message or just say data from page 1.html. Well, let's do one thing. Let's create one more page 2. This will be called as data from page 2. Okay, so I created two HTML pages, page 1 and page 2. Okay, now I'm going to call these from servlet. Not actually call, but I will try to include them in my resource in this servlet. So how to do that? We know we have a request dispatcher. How to get that object? By using request. So in request we have request dispatcher. Get request dispatcher is the method name, and here you have to give the resource name. So now here either you can write servlet URL pattern or it could be JSP file or it could be HTML file. Fine. So I'll say request dot get request dispatcher. So for now I'll just include HTML file. So page 1 dot HTML. Okay, this is the resource I'm targeting. But what to do with that? We'll say let's hold the reference first. So request dispatcher rd equals, then we will say rd dot, I'll say include, and I'll just pass the same request response which is coming from the argument request and response. That's it. So idea is it will first of all print hello from servlet, then it will include the response of this page. Okay, and let's go back, close, refresh. Let's see whether changes are read by the server or not. Yes, it is. Now see the message, guys. Let me zoom it out. So hello from servlet, that's definitely from the servlet, but after that something came up, but that is not what we are expecting, right? If we say HTML, that means we are expecting the content of HTML, not the source code of it. This is the source code. So how to tell the server that we are expecting the data from HTML, not the source code of it? So what we can do on the same page where we are including this kind of response, we can tell this in advance. This should be a very first line. You should say response dot set content type. Yesterday I was trying to write it, but I thought where things are actually required, then I'll do that. So we have to write text slash HTML. This is we call MIME type. I forgot the full form of it, but yeah, this is present, and we have I think more than 10-15 MIME types, or maybe more than that. You can refer the Mozilla website and you can list out MIME types present. So they gives the extension type like what your web page is expecting. So here we're telling this web page or this web page response could be text or HTML or could be both. So this is text for sure, and we are also including one of the page response. This is here, and that page is actually HTML page which is full of HTML text. So okay, now this is already loaded. Let's go back and see. Quick back, reload, and disable it, and boom. Now earlier we were getting this, but because we told to the server that hey, we are expecting response of both type, text, HTML, so it should render that way. So this is coming from servlet itself, this is coming from HTML. Okay, so that's how it works. What if I want to forward my response or my request to next resource? This is also possible. So let's say after this, I want to forward my request. So let's comment this out. Let me copy, comment. Now if I want to forward my request to next page, I'm not concerned about what this page generates. I just want to forward it. So let me save it. You guys have to use either include or forward. You cannot use both. Okay, that's logical. So if you want to include, that's one piece of thing. But if you are using forward, so that response will get affected. Okay, page got reloaded. Let's go back. Reload this page as well. Go extra pages. Clicking at servlet, and see, this time we are not getting response from servlet. Although we have this message yet here, hello from servlet, but the response from this current page got kind of ignored. So if you forward from your servlet, doesn't matter what your servlet is generating or responding, that will get ignored by the server. It will simply forwards the request to the destination, that is page1.html. So that's how include and forward works. Okay, so we will try to use the same functionality in our register servlet. So this is the case when things get stored or saved in database. We are just saying if it is successful, so insert query is successful, else we are saying something went wrong. Okay, so what I can do, let me give you a, okay, even before that, let's complete the code, then we will use it. Okay, so this is what we did. So if you forward, So it will simply forward the request to the destination, whatever you requested for. What we have inside is page HTML. This is rd servlet.java, and this is page1.html. I thought I might be required in page 2, that's why I created it, but I guess not required. So this is how forward works. It simply forwards a request to next source, irrespective of what your servlet is generating or what's its response. Okay, next paint, we will see how include works. So go back, I'll comment this out. Okay. So when we write this kind of code, okay, so this is generates this hello from RD Servlet. So we are getting messages from both files, and this is page.html. Wait, here we go with the next page. Okay, so the only key thing where you have to focus on what you are up to, what you're including, and what you're sending. So this is include, and in other one it was forward method. Okay, so we have idea how request dispatcher works. Now back to the actual part, why we are learning this, because this is quite irregular. We are not supposed to print anything on at least one console. So Servlet provides a mechanism, again not that best, but we can definitely use it for our own purpose. So we have this kind of code. So if status, that means the state returned by the JDBC API, the record is inserted or not. So we will try to do that in case if query is successful, right? So if query is successful, what I will do, I will load one page. So if this is the case, for this I will load a page, load a web page if successful. Okay, so in that case I will again load that register, or not register, I can even go back to the index page. So I'll go back to index page, index.html page. So if it says execution is successful, your record is inserted, I'll go back to the main page where that CRUD operation gets started. Again, it's totally up to you guys or how you want to approach. And in case if there's an error or anything goes wrong, so what we can do, we can load the register.html page, right? And okay, we can load that web page again, that register page again, that something happened, and we can also print try again or something that way. Print try again, or error or something went wrong, or maybe we can use the same message, something went wrong. Okay, so this is approach, and let's try to implement through request dispatcher. So going back here, so if it is successful, so I'll keep it in school, keep this message on console, that's fine. And from request I'll get that request dispatcher. As I said, I'll load index page, that very first page, HTML, and I'll keep that reference request dispatcher RD, and here I'll say forward because I don't care what this page returns. I mean, in terms of response, the idea is I just want to forward my request. Excuse me. I want to forward a request to next resource. That's it. But in case if it fails, I'll copy this, go here. Okay. If it fails, so I will load that web page again. Okay, so I'm including it. Okay, it's loaded. Just a second. Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, so if this happens, if something goes wrong, so we will load register page again and include the response coming from this page. So what exactly in this register page has? Nothing special, just some simple form with 3 fields and one submit button. Okay, so I guess it's done. Let's test it. So this is a page. Close these forms. Cut off space. We just have one page. So register this. That's the current is 42 at gmail.com. Okay. So if everything was fine, um, we should get redirected to index page. Okay. So that happened. Fine. Again, not that ideal scenario because user get confused. What just happened? I was supposed to get some message or something, right? We are not getting into that because that will take UI part. Idea is to show you how to redirect from one page to another page. So one way is using anchor tag. When you click, your request or flow gets redirect to new page, or by using request dispatcher. Now let's verify in database. So we have 2 records. Refresh, and here we have 5th record as well. So it is working fine. Nice. Okay, let me just verify one thing. I'm just thinking like how to break this whole flow, so we will end up in a error. Okay, name says 45, so I'll next time I'll give name more than 45, so it should give error, and expecting we'll end up with some error exception. Okay, so going back again, CRUD ops page, register page, and username needs more than 45, so maybe CTE 5 10 20 oh sorry 15 20 25 30 35 40 45 50. Okay, so the name is more than that length. Verify whether that happens or not. So register. Okay, page goes empty, that's fine. We have an error. Okay, that is happening. It says insert was successful. Is before that I'm not sure. I just try it whether it's working or not. I'll give a random try. Okay, data is not there, that's fine. So what happened? It tries to execute this code. It says insert was successful. It's before that, and then this is previous execution. And when I click on this, so it says data too long for column. So eventually we end up with the exception, right? So if exception happens, so we can do one thing. I just got an idea. Why not write this code in exception block? As of now, we were just using this code. Oops, sorry, I've stopped the server. So we were using a catch blocks just for logging the errors. Why not this part of or piece of code? So I can copy this entire line and even after logging, do this. There is no harm, guys. We can do that. Always we can do that. So again in SQL, because that was for SQL exception. Class not found is for driver name. We are loading here. Here we can ignore that. So whatever SQL query or syntax error is there, it goes in catch log, this one. So after logging, it will print something went wrong and it will redirect from here to register page. That's the idea. Let's try again. Run server. Next. Oops. Server. Next. Finish. Okay, server started. Let's close others. Products. Register. Yep, there's the name. 42. Name. Email. Register. And see, it happened now. So exception occurred and we are loading that register page again. It's empty, that means something happened, but we're not sure what happened. So on console it says something went wrong. Okay, so why not print a message, right? We can also print a message on a web page. We already know how to do that. So that's the part of that response.outstream. So as I said, it should be always in your first line. So let's do that. Response dot uh, get writer. It will give you a print writer reference. So print writer, let's keep its variable out for output, and not here. I will use this code formatted and I'll use this out in exception. So I'm trying to print something on web page. So if this happens, why not print this on web page? I'll say out.print and I can keep this message there. Something went wrong. Try again. Oops. And why not in? Okay, let's print this message, then I'll show you. Something went wrong, try again. Fine. So let's go back to this page. Entering again. Again, I'm entering the wrong data. This register page. Oh, it says something went wrong. Definitely it's there, but then it says again the whole, source code of register page. So how do we fix it? We have to tell this to the server that I am expecting both type of things. Response dot set content type, that is text slash HTML. Okay, and it goes in a double quotes as a string. Okay, file saved. Going back, close extra stuffs. CRUD register user. Again entering wrong details. Register. And yeah, we are getting something went wrong. But that looks at least just a regular message, right? So let's do two things. First of all, let's give some lines break, and we already know how to do that. So let's try whether it's happening or not. So I'll say out dot print, and here I'll print br text regular way, and then semicolon, and I'll wrap this in h1, or let's say h3. H1 will be bigger. I'll wrap this in h3. Let's do, and let's see first, verify how it comes up. Page reloaded. Again giving wrong details. Register page, and yeah, we are getting that message, and it is much bolder. I mean, in terms of font type, and it is also big. Why not in red color? So we can also apply CSS as well, right? So we can say style, and here I can write color this, let's say red, and okay. So I gave it this way. So I'm just giving a CSS style, and a color should be red if this gets printed. Okay, fine. I saved the file. It will not happen. Trying again with the wrong details. Name, email. Yep, it's happening. So that's how you can refer your pages and stuffs, and I'm able to even call the stuffs. Okay, great. So as of now, everything's working fine. Let's try to give correct details. Let's say this time we'll say Arjun. and if I register, it goes to next page. Okay, that means record is successfully now. So you can play around with this thing and change as per your understanding, and your record is inserted. So that's how you can verify and use request dispatcher in your whole flow. Okay, and definitely this doesn't looks good, so you can definitely fetch this out and create somewhere else. So what I'll do, I'll create one more package in src main Java. I'm just refactoring the code, so you can use it like same way. So I'll say com dot pack dot util, and then new Java class. I'll call this MySQL connect uh, connection, not connection, it's MySQL DB. Here I'll create a simple public static, and what that servlet required, connection. So I'll use that same connection here as a return type. I'll say get MySQL connection. That's my method name, and I'll take this code from here till here, copy it, going back, paste it, import connection, and definitely surround with try catch. Move this code here from here to that level, and insert here, then remove this from here. Okay, and once you have connect, okay, I forgot that line. I need this line as well. So it goes here. This is added here, and now I can return this connection from outside. So I'll take this variable outside so I can return it. So initially it will be null, and then oops, remove this variable and return from here. Return connection, it's not this one, connection, code format, and let's make it static. Okay, so I'll call this method from there. So no need of this code writing again and again. And from here I'll just simply say MySQL db dot get MySQL connection. That's it. So one line will give me a database reference. Okay, so what's next? So guys, it's up to you now. Okay, let's do one thing. Let me show you in a working state. Start the server, because we created a class, so it's better to test this from the scratch always. After stopping the server, rerun the server and see whether it's working or not. Next, finish. That is Servlet. It's my bad. CRUD applications, register user. Now again, goes to the next page. If everything goes fine, yeah, it's going there, and we should have one more entry of name Ram with different ID. Correct. Yeah. Okay, so the CRUD is working fine. So try to replicate for the other pages if you guys are creating it. And again, Servlet is one big topic. We cannot cover in 2 or 3 days. Not possible, not feasible. So the sole purpose of learning this Servlet is to understand how to deal with forms, how flow goes from HTML to Servlet, and if you want to include some resources in current response or request, you can also play around with that, because this is something which we will be needing in future classes, maybe in Spring Boot. Not similarly, but in different way, we will try to do the same stuff through APIs, because this is the time where we write APIs. And if there are like 100 developers, so that means at least 90 guys, I'm talking about Java, so they are writing only APIs. Hardly they will engage in some front-end stuffs and writing web pages and doing the stuff. They are engaged in APIs and managing it or creating it stuff. So we'll focus on APIs first of all. So the whole purpose is to show you how backend works, how it takes requests from front-end through forms, through submit buttons, and it works out. One more thing we noticed when we are sending response, you guys have noticed it is printing here. See, I sent Ram age 42 and email current. So everything is printed on web page. That's the worst thing. Think about I'm passing password as well. So that will also get printed on your console. Sorry, on your URL, web URL. So this is not supposed to happen. You should not show everything on your web page. So idea is if you are sending some data through a form, make sure you have to enhance or actually change one thing, two things at two places. First of all, wherever your form is, make sure that the method you're using, it should not be get, it should be post, because get exposed your data on URL. So make sure that you have a post request on your form. That's the first thing. After doing this, where we are redirected after clicking button, register servlet. So on register, make sure if that form is of post type, so this method should be also of post type. So instead of do get, make it to post. These two changes you have to do. So your data won't be exposed on your URL. So server is reloaded. That's great. I'll go back, reload, close other tabs, CRUD register user, current, random number, Arjun, register. Now notice the URL. Oops, that means changes are not reflected. Okay, so terminate. This happens sometimes. You cannot expect or rely completely on server. That's why I always say if you do any file changes or file addition, you should change this up. The server should be restarted. So register, we have post request. Okay, right click, run as, run on server. Next, finish. And then CRUD applications. And this. Says get is not supported by this URL. We did changes, but server is not picking the change. This is one common scenario which you will sense when you are writing this code and running this service multiple times. It says get is not supported by this URL, and we are pretty much sure all of our Java application, I mean classes or HTML page are using post. Here we are using post. Here we are also using post. So what happened? Server is not picking our changes. What do you have to do? You have this thing, stop the server. Okay, server stopped it. Remove your project from here. Remove, yes, and then after removal, right click again, and there's option clean Tomcat directory. Clean this up, and one more clean is there. Clean this up as well. So yeah, so stop the server, remove project, and first of all clean Tomcat work directory, and then clean this up. So do this one time. I'm just showing again. So once this is done, now you can restart your application again on the server. So run as server, pick the server name, then next, then finish. Okay, project is up. Let's close other tabs. CRUD register user, again some random numbers, register, and again it's not picking the change. Why? What happened? Register username is fine. Get is not picking. Why it is not picking changes? I'm calling the right file, right? It's HTML. Yes, register. They should be here. I don't think I have another file with the same name or any configuration. Register. Yes, it is to post. So what's the deal? That's strange. Okay, let's try one thing. Let's try to restart the service. I mean this Eclipse. Stop the server. Remove. Clean. Yes. Clean Tomcat directory. Done. and let's restart the Eclipse. Restart. Okay, so I'm restarting the Eclipse, expecting it should pick the change. You can see it says get is not supported. We are not sending any get request. Okay, here it is, started. Let's try again. Just cross verifying I'm using the right files. Register HTML, which has a method post, correct. Goes to this, which is right here. It calls this, and we're also using, and let's make it public, not required, but I'm just making sure it is public to all services. Public is there, and it's to post. Okay, let's try again. So right click, run as, run on server. Okay, and finish. Okay, close the tabs, CRUD ops, register user. Wow, not working at all. Why it's not working? Let's change the browser. ABC this, ABC it. Okay, register user sent. Okay, that was a browser issue or something was there. It just kind of, sometimes it cached the records. So it is working now. You can see I just click the user register and URL is clean. Nothing is there. And if I go back, refresh, this is a record we just entered. That was a browser issue. I just realized because that uh, browser I used multiple times, so it sometimes caches it, so it doesn't refresh it. So even if server is not, if you have done that refresh one multiple times, it's not responding, you can also clean those, cookies of the browser. So that will also fix that. Or you can use some kind of incognito browser that doesn't save the cookies and stuffs. So it always start in a clean slate. Okay, let's do this again. Let's user random numbers. Okay, here and check the URL again. Okay, so next page loaded, that means the user is saved successfully. And if I go back to database, it is working. Last record. Okay, so this is what you guys follow up. So have a different class for database connection. Use post if you are passing any sensitive data towards the server. So use to post, so it will hide the data, at least not on the, it won't show that on what do you call that, URL. Because right now we just have 3 fields. Think about if you have 20 or 50 fields. So in that case, URL will be full of all your records. And maybe one text field has a one text area where you can enter 50 or 100 text or characters. So that looks really ugly on your browser level. So we use post request. Post request passes everything in body, not in URL. So get exposes everything on URL, but post request shows or include that in request body. We have 2 sections, request header and body. So that's how it works. So request has header and body. So if you talk about post takes data here in the body of your request. Same with the response. Response also has a header and body. Okay guys, so that's it for today. We just covered the servlet part, and tomorrow we will see JSP. Not much, but I'll give you an idea, a walkthrough how JSP page looks like and how we can work on JSPs. But again, we are not supposed to spend much time on these technologies. These are some legacy technology. As I said, these are like more than 30 years old technology. So I don't think anyone works on these technologies nowadays. Even they work with some full stack that we're using Angular or React technologies for front end or for backend, most probably Spring Boot. Okay, but definitely we'll spend at least one day tomorrow on JSP, and then we'll see how it works out.